As you all know, the Miss America pageant has asked for me to resign as Miss America 1984. I did have some shots taken, which were both nude and partially nude.
Hollywood has always been praised as the city of lights, but behind that glamour lies a ruthless darkness. In a place that should celebrate talent, powerful hands quietly drew up a blacklist, a weapon that could kill a career overnight. And who were its victims? 13 black actresses, women who were once symbols of beauty and talent, were mercilessly buried by Hollywood. They committed no crimes. They only dared to stand up, to love, to live authentically. But in return, they were locked out, erased from the screen, and turned into ghosts in film history in the cruelest way. In today's video, we will uncover all the dirty secrets, the power games, and the chilling truth about how Hollywood destroyed those 13 actresses. 1. Vanessa Williams, the first black queen cruelly banished by Hollywood. It begins with the devastating downfall of Vanessa Williams. Born in 1963, she became the very first black woman crowned Miss America, a symbol of change. She won audiences not only with her radiant beauty, but also with her natural talent in both music and acting. Yet, in the summer of 1984, at the very height of her career, her life collapsed overnight like a sandcastle swept away by a storm. On July 19, 1984, in New York, Vanessa was preparing for a television taping. When the phone rang, she answered with the joy of a rising star. But the voice on the other end froze her blood. "Your nude photos have been released." Her heart stopped. She couldn't believe it. These were pictures from 1982, when she was a student at Syracuse University. A shoot she thought was harmless, artistic, taken by photographer Tom Chiapelle. Vanessa never imagined those private images would leak, let alone land on the front pages. The news spread like wildfire. That same afternoon, she was called into an emergency meeting. Inside the suffocating room, dim lights cast shadows as judgment filled the air. Jon Stewart, the pageant director, stood up and pointed at her. His words cut like a knife. "You must immediately resign as Miss America." An image like this cannot represent us. Those words carried not only humiliation, but also the sting of racial prejudice. Vanessa sat frozen, her hands icy, feeling as if the ground beneath her split open. On July 23, 1984, with cameras flashing in her face, Vanessa walked out. Her face pale, her eyes lost, she choked back tears as she announced her resignation as Miss America. In that moment, she lost not just a crown, but the career she had fought to build. The press attacked viciously. Headlines called her a self-destructive fool. Rumors spread like wildfire, claiming she had staged the scandal, that she had sold herself out for fame. Every gaze turned away. Hollywood, once welcoming, now slammed the door in her face. With what pride she had left, Vanessa filed a $500 million lawsuit against Penthouse and photographer Tom Chiapelle. But as the legal battle began, a terrifying truth emerged. This wasn't just a photo leak. There was an underground force behind it. Hollywood power brokers had quietly helped push her into ruin. Her lawyers received threats. Key meetings were suddenly canceled. And every time she thought justice was within reach, doors slammed shut without reason. Slowly, she realized she was up against a machine too big to fight. In despair, she withdrew the lawsuit, tasting bitter defeat. Yet even at rock bottom, Vanessa Williams refused to be broken. 7 years later, in 1991, she returned to music and acting. Her voice rang out as a declaration: no force could extinguish the light of a strong woman. She came back, head held high, and proved to the world that a crown can be taken, but her inner strength and pride could never be stolen. 2. Monique. The bitter price of daring to challenge Oprah. Next, we come to Monique, born in 1967, once celebrated as one of Hollywood's boldest and most talented actresses. Her role in Precious not only earned her admiration from audiences, but also placed her on the Oscar stage. Yet in what should have been her most triumphant moment, her career turned to darkness. On the night of March 7, 2010, at the Kodak Theater, Monique dazzled in a cobalt blue gown. When her name was called for Best Supporting Actress, the hall erupted. She walked to the stage, held the golden statue in her hands, tears falling, her voice trembling. But only seconds later, when the speech ended, a cold silence settled over the room. Monique had not mentioned Oprah Winfrey, one of the most powerful figures who had helped bring Precious to light. That silence, which seemed accidental, became a slap in the face to Hollywood's elite. That very night, backstage, while the flashbulbs still flickered, people whispered that Oprah quietly left the main banquet and stepped into a small side room where producers and powerful directors gathered. In the thick air of tension, hushed voices murmured, Monique had crossed the line. An unwritten blacklist was drawn up right then, and Monique's name sat at the top. When Monique entered the celebration banquet, instead of warm embraces, she saw scrutinizing eyes and forced smiles. Some people deliberately turned away, others whispered behind her back, "She just destroyed herself." And that was exactly what happened. Only days later, Monique's phone went silent. Film offers were withdrawn. Endorsement deals disappeared. Within 2 months came a stream of bad news. Projects canceled, roles recast, invitations gone. The label difficult to work with was stamped on her name like a sentence Hollywood had quietly signed on the very night of her victory. 5 years later, at the end of 2015, no longer able to endure the silence, Monique broke through the barrier. She publicly named Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, and Lee Daniels as the ones behind the campaign that blacklisted her and shut her out of Hollywood. Her accusations rang out, like an explosion in the industry. But the harsh truth was clear. Even with courage, Monique was just one small figure against a massive machine of power. Her story stands as a painful lesson. In Hollywood, one misstep, one forgotten name in a speech can turn a star from Oscar glory into a permanent resident on the blacklist. 3. Dorothy Dandridge. The Oscar icon who died alone, humiliated by the back door. Tragedy did not spare Dorothy Dandridge, once hailed as Hollywood's Black Pearl. In 1954, her performance in Carmen Jones made history as the first black woman ever nominated for Best Actress at the Oscars. In that moment, the world believed Hollywood had finally opened its doors to fairness. But no one knew that brief glory was only the beginning of a long tragedy, pulling Dorothy into the list of stars destroyed by the very industry she served. From 1955 onward, after the thunderous applause had faded, Dorothy hardly received any worthy roles. While her white peers of the time appeared in one blockbuster after another, she was offered cheap supporting parts, or worse, nothing at all. In November 1959, during a performance at the Copacabana in New York, Dorothy was forced to enter through the back door, not allowed to dine with her white colleagues. The applause on stage could not drown out the sting of humiliation backstage. An Oscar star, yet still just a black woman in Hollywood's eyes. A year later, she was invited to sing at a luxury hotel in Las Vegas. After a radiant performance, Dorothy stepped off stage under glittering lights, but when she asked to stay at the hotel, she was flatly denied because of her race. That night, the Oscar legend wandered the desert cold, looking for a place to rest. The shame clung to her for life. But that was not the end. In the early 1960s, a shocking rumor spread. Dorothy Dandridge had been involved in a secret relationship with one of Hollywood's most powerful producers. When she refused to remain his hidden mistress and instead demanded roles worthy of her talent, the man ordered her career shut down. Years later, friends recalled Dorothy breaking down at a dinner, admitting her career wasn't ruined because she lacked talent, but because she dared to defy the unspoken rules of powerful white men. On September 8, 1965, Dorothy Dandridge was found dead in her small Los Angeles apartment. She was only 42. Her death certificate listed a heart attack. But whispers from those close to her suggested it was the result of despair, of lonely nights, of sleeping pills and alcohol to dull the humiliation. Some even believed her death wasn't entirely natural, but arranged to silence her resistance forever. Dorothy died alone, without Hollywood honoring her as a legend. Yet her tragedy became a haunting symbol for generations that followed, proof that sometimes even an Oscar cannot save a black woman from the cruelty of prejudice and power. 4. Eartha Kitt, Catwoman silenced by the White House and Hollywood in a single night. When speaking of America's most versatile artists, we cannot leave out Eartha Kitt. She sang, she danced, she acted, and above all, she left an unforgettable mark with her role as Catwoman in the 1960s Batman series. But one bold decision at a glittering banquet turned Eartha from a shining star into a hunted outcast in her own country. On January 18, 1968, the White House hosted a formal luncheon led by First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy. The room was filled with high-ranking officials, military generals, and Hollywood's top stars. During the event, an official asked Eartha about the Vietnam War. Without hesitation, she stood and declared, her voice ringing through the hushed hall, "This is a meaningless massacre. The U.S. government is killing innocent people and spreading suffering across the world." The room went silent. Jacqueline Kennedy was stunned, her face drained of color. Officials exchanged furious looks. Eartha knew in that instant she had signed the death sentence for her career. Just 4 days later, Hollywood producers began canceling contracts one after another. Major newspapers branded her a traitor and a disgrace to the nation. Then came a chilling rumor. The CIA had opened a secret file on Eartha Kitt, tracking her every move. Some even claimed she was set up in a phone call where a high-ranking official warned she would never work in America again. On October 1, 1968, under mounting threats, Eartha was forced to leave the U.S. in secret. She boarded a night flight to Paris carrying only a small suitcase and a heavy heart. The price she paid for speaking the truth was her career, her homeland, and her safety. In Europe, Eartha Kitt rose again from the ashes, captivating audiences in Paris and London with her sultry, raspy voice. But in her memory, the wound of betrayal by her own country never healed. She became a symbol of an artist who dared to speak truth, and a bitter reminder of how ruthless Hollywood and the U.S. government could be when defied. 5. Gabrielle Union. A cold email that buried a career. Gabrielle Union, born in 1972, had it all: beauty, talent, and a solid place in Hollywood. With Bring It On and Bad Boys 2, she became a familiar face in American film. When she was invited to be a judge on America's Got Talent in February 2019, Gabrielle believed it would be a turning point in her career. But just months later, the bright stage lights turned into crushing darkness. Behind the scenes in Los Angeles, she repeatedly heard mocking remarks about her cornrow braids. A colleague sneered that hairstyle doesn't suit American audiences. Another time, during a break, Gabrielle watched an Asian contestant's accent being mocked for laughs. The whole room laughed, while she sat frozen. It wasn't comedy. It was blatant racism. By October 2019, during a meeting with producers on the 14th floor of NBC headquarters, Gabrielle decided to speak out. She stood, her voice firm, listing every act of misconduct she had witnessed. No one replied. The room fell into silence, filled only with cold stares that treated her as if she had committed a crime. Gabrielle didn't realize that moment was the end of her television career. One morning in November 2019, her phone buzzed. On the screen was a short email. "Your contract will not be renewed." No explanation, no chance to respond. She sat motionless in her kitchen, staring at a cup of cold coffee, tears falling before she could wipe them away. Backstage, rumors swirled that Gabrielle's firing from America's Got Talent wasn't simply an NBC decision, but a secret pact among television power brokers to silence her dissent. Whispers claimed that right after she spoke out against racist behavior in a closed-door meeting, a covert phone call was made from the top floors of a media empire. The plan to eliminate Gabrielle was quickly set in motion, not only to extinguish her voice, but to serve as a warning to anyone who dared challenge the system. Even more painful, a close friend later revealed that one night in late November 2019, just after Gabrielle had tucked her daughter into bed, the phone rang. On the other end was a strange male voice, raspy and cold as steel. No name, no preamble, only a chilling whisper. "We'll make sure you disappear from Hollywood. Don't you dare speak out again." Then the line went dead, leaving Gabrielle alone in the silence of her home, her heartbeat pounding in terror. From that night on, every step she took carried the weight of being watched. Meetings were abruptly canceled. Negotiations for roles vanished without explanation. Each email that arrived, every call that rang, left Gabrielle trembling, unsure if it was her career or her very life that was still safe. Gabrielle Union did not disappear, but from that moment she became the bitter symbol of a harsh truth. In Hollywood, sometimes a cold email is crueler than a death sentence. 6. Irene Cara, a $1.5 million victory that became a blacklist. In 1983, the world danced to Flashdance. What a feeling. Irene Cara, born in 1959, became a global icon. She stood on great stages, under dazzling lights, with audiences cheering, untouchable. But 2 years later, in March 1985, as she walked out of a courtroom holding a $1.5 million royalty victory, everything changed. Irene thought it was the moment she had reclaimed justice. But as the courtroom doors closed, other doors began to slam shut. In July 1986, she sat across from a producer in Los Angeles for a major project. They didn't talk about her voice or the script. They simply repeated coldly, "You're not right for this." Irene sat stunned, realizing that from now on, talent no longer decided her fate. Then a chilling piece of gossip began to spread through the music world in late 1986. Irene Cara was said to be deeply addicted to cocaine, out of control, screaming in the studio and disappearing for days at a time. Some tabloid magazines even fabricated stories that she was found collapsed in a nightclub restroom in Los Angeles next to a silver straw, though no one ever produced evidence or a report. That rumor traveled faster than any of her songs, turning into a whisper that haunted her back every time she walked into a meeting. Producers sneered that Irene was no longer reliable, and the invitations to perform vanished overnight. The phone stopped ringing, shows were canceled without explanation. From a global star, Irene was pushed back into a small apartment in Largo, Florida. At night, she sat at her old piano, her trembling fingers brushing the keys as she sang only for herself, the dim yellow light from a desk lamp painting even more darkness into the silent room. Old friends kept their distance, colleagues cut her off. She lived nearly half her life under an invisible sentence, drowned by Hollywood over a rumor no one ever proved. When Irene Cara passed away in 2022, the media rushed to call her name again, celebrating timeless hits like Fame and Flashdance. What a feeling. But it was far too late, because for decades before that, she had fought alone against the crushing shadow of a vicious rumor that was never confirmed. 7. Angela Basset, the queen who was frozen out for 29 years. Let's go back to March 21, 1994, at the 66th Academy Awards in Los Angeles. Angela Basset sat in the front rows, eyes sparkling with faith. She had just stunned the world with her role as Tina Turner in What's Love Got to Do with It. The audience gave her a standing ovation. The press hailed her as the new icon of black cinema. Everyone believed a new era had opened for Angela. But only months later, in a sleek Beverly Hills office, Angela held the script for a blockbuster. When she reached the part for the only black character, she froze. It was a caricature, a stereotype designed to glorify the white roles. Angela set the script down and refused to sign. That decision was made in silence, but only days later, her phone stopped ringing. By the summer of 1994, her name was gone from Warner Brothers and Universal casting lists. Trade magazines began leaking stories that she was difficult and uncooperative. The top-tier scripts went to others. While her peers kept landing lead roles, Angela quietly accepted supporting parts in television films. Through the 1990s, she lived in a state of being present yet invisible. Not until 2023, when the Academy honored her with an honorary Oscar, did the world finally praise her as Hollywood royalty. But behind her radiant smile that night were 29 years of brutal punishment for saying no. 8. Cheryl Lee Ralph, a stain of humiliation from a younger actress. Cheryl Lee Ralph was once hailed as Hollywood's next great hope in the 1980s. Stepping out of Broadway lights with Dreamgirls, she had everything: beauty, talent, charm. The press called her the face that could break down barriers. For Cheryl, the road ahead seemed filled with opportunity. But just as her career was rising, Hollywood coldly pushed her into tragedy. By 1983, Cheryl had been chosen for the lead role in a family series produced by NBC, set to film in Burbank, California. She had beaten dozens of competitors and even begun promotional photo shoots. But 2 weeks before filming, she was summoned to the producer's office. In the cold room, without a word of praise, she was told she was cut. The reason written in the report: not black enough. What followed was even more humiliating. During the last days on set, at lunch, a younger actress, just a supporting player, blocked her path. In front of the entire crew, she dropped a cold lunchbox on a wooden chair in a dark hallway and sneered, "This is your seat." Laughter trickled from a few faces, while others looked away. Cheryl sat there under flickering lights, eating alone, while the brightly lit dining hall behind her roared with chatter. Days later, the press poured gasoline on the fire. Headlines screamed, "Cheryl Lee Ralph, not black enough, trying to pass for white." No one defended her. No one revealed that she had been humiliated in front of the crew. In a flash, the great hope was gone, her name dragged into controversy. That public bullying in 1983 didn't just crush her rising career, it left a scar that haunted Cheryl for decades. Proof of how Hollywood buries talent with silence and shame. 9. Cicely Tyson. The black icon forced into a basement of humiliation. Next is Cicely Tyson, once praised worldwide for Sounder, 1972, and the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman, 1974. Sadly, her career stalled because of her uncompromising stance against stereotypical roles. Tyson refused to play maids or caricatures, which led Hollywood to label her difficult and shut her out of major projects. Her greatest humiliation came in 1990 on a New York television set. Instead of being assigned a bright dressing room like her white colleagues, she was led into a damp basement room with a cracked mirror, flickering yellow bulb, and the smell of mold everywhere. The assistant coldly informed her it was the producer's decision, as if the insult had been carefully planned. While laughter drifted down from above, Cicely Tyson sat alone in the dark, putting on her makeup through tears. It was a bitter reminder of how Hollywood punished a black woman who demanded dignity, turning an Oscar icon into an abandoned figure in the very industry she had devoted her life to. 10. Diahann Carroll. The scar of betrayal from a trusted friend. If Cicely Tyson was banished to a basement for saying no to stereotypes, Diahann Carroll suffered a different tragedy. Born in 1935, she was a Hollywood star who broke barriers with her groundbreaking role in Julia 1968, making her the first black woman to lead an American sitcom. Yet her career was repeatedly stalled by prejudice and Hollywood's reluctance to give a black actress top roles. Her most bitter wound came in the spring of 1981 in Los Angeles, when she was all but confirmed as the lead in a new NBC series. After months of auditions and meetings, scripts were in her hands, and the press predicted her casting was certain. But just 3 days before the official announcement, she was told the role had gone to a younger actress, once her friend. The shock grew worse when whispers spread that Carroll's longtime manager had secretly accepted a bribe to withdraw her name in exchange for protection of the newcomer. When the truth spread, Carroll nearly collapsed. She had lost not only a rare career opportunity, but had also been betrayed by those closest to her. In a later interview, she admitted with tears that Hollywood was not just cold, it was filled with knives hidden behind smiles. After 1981, Carroll rarely appeared in major films again, retreating to stage and small television roles. Her former glory remained, but the scar of betrayal haunted her forever. 11. Diana Sands. The Broadway star punished for challenging Hollywood Diana Sands, born in 1934, rose from Broadway with brilliance, known for A Raisin in the Sun, 1961. Critics believed she would be the one to free black actresses from made stereotypes and make it as a true film star. But tragedy struck in 1969 when she attended an audition for Claudine. During the meeting, she openly criticized Columbia Pictures for writing only stereotypical black roles rooted in poverty. The room froze. Days later, her name vanished from the project. The role went to Diahann Carroll, while Sands was branded difficult. Hollywood pushed her aside, not because she lacked talent, but because she dared to confront the system. She died young at 39, leaving behind a wound that never healed in black film history. 12. Lola Falana, the nightclub queen punished for refusing to play a slave. You might remember Lola Falana, born in 1942, a sensation of the 1970s. With stunning looks and a captivating voice, she became the first black woman to sign $1 million contract with a major studio. But in 1974, when MGM sent her a script that demeaned black women as objects of sexual amusement, Falana refused immediately. The backlash came fast and ruthless. Her contract was cut, and her Las Vegas shows were canceled. The cruelest blow came 2 years later when she arrived at her Las Vegas theater only to find her name stripped from the neon sign overnight, replaced by a rising star. Hollywood and Vegas together turned their backs, casting the queen into the shadows simply because she chose dignity. 13. Vanetta McGee. The queen buried under the label of cheap films. We end this list with Vanetta McGee. Born in 1945, she burst onto screens with Blackula, 1972, and Shaft in Africa, 1973. The press crowned her the queen of yaw, blaxploitation, but that very title became her trap. In 1975, she was invited to audition for a historical epic at Warner Brothers. After her final casting, the press predicted her official announcement was imminent. But days later, the role went to an unknown white actress. The leaked reason from inside the studio, McGee was only fit for cheap black films, not a mainstream star. Worse still, a staffer revealed that in a meeting she had objected to a degrading scene for a black female character, and that defiance got her instantly blacklisted. From then on, McGee drifted through minor television roles. Her film career was essentially over. Hollywood locked her in the cage of blaxploitation and then abandoned her turning a promising talent into another victim of ruthless prejudice. Hollywood is often seen as every artist's dream, but what you've just heard proves it can also be the graveyard of those who dared to rise, dared to be different. Vanessa Williams was stripped of her crown in humiliation. Monique went from Oscar winner to a name no one dared mention. Dorothy Dandridge died alone after being forced through the back door. Eartha Kitt had to leave her homeland simply for speaking the truth. How many more talents have been crushed by the invisible force called the blacklist? Do you believe these tragedies still haunt Hollywood today? Tell me your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because the tragedies to come are even more ruthless and haunting.